Good evening and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host for tonight's show. And boy, it's a jam-packed show. It really, really is. I was just talking to my guests before we went live, and we've got a lot to get through. You know, we're looking back at the Chelsea game from Sunday. We'll be looking forward to the West Brom game tomorrow night. We'll be talking Arteta, Sambi Lokonga, and obviously a lot of transfer news that's kind of, floating around, obviously with the deadline coming up very, very soon. So a lot to get through. So I'm going to get straight into it. Obviously, I am joined tonight with my ever-present co-host, Lottie, in the absence of Stephen. How you doing, Lottie?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting a sore arm from my second COVID jab, but I'm all good. Other than that.
Good. Excellent. And the pleasure of meeting Scott for the first time, meeting Scott for the first time, all the way from Sydney, very, very early where you are. So massive thanks for joining us this morning or for our tonight show. How are you, Scott?
Absolute pleasure, guys. Yeah, really good. As good as you can be at 6 a.m. in the morning after 8 weeks of lockdown. So I'm glad Arsenal have been brightening lockdown for me. But no, I'm good. I'm really happy to be here talking to you guys. I love what you do on the channel. So big ups.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So yeah, literally, like I said, we've got loads to get through. So I'm literally going to run the intro video and then we're going to get right into it. See you on the other side, guys.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
So yes, good evening again and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host. I've already done some introductions for those of you who are joining us a little bit late. We're joined with, very own Cannon Chatter member Lottie and also Scott, great guy. We interact a lot with on Twitter. He's joining us all the way from Sydney tonight, 6 a.m. in the morning over there. So it's a massive pleasure having him on the show. So yeah, it's going to be a jam-packed show. And for those of you just tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate your support. Do stay tuned because we have a lot to get through. So we're going to be looking back to the Chelsea game on Sunday. Obviously, calm down now, reflected on the results. So I think at this point, we'll all be able to kind of give our fair kind of perspective and our opinions with some real kind of rationale behind it rather than an emotional response, which is what you're seeing a lot of across Twitter and the socials. We'll be looking ahead to tomorrow night's game against West Brom, and we'll be discussing whether this is a must-win game for Arteta, how will he approach the match, etc. We'll also be focusing on some of the positives coming out of Arsenal, particularly Sambi Lokonga, a pre-season transfer who's done really well during pre-season and obviously done well despite the 2 negative results so far this season. And we'll also be touching upon, if we do have some time, some transfer news with regards exits out of the club and potential incomings into the club. So yeah, jam-packed. So we do have a lot to get through. But first of all, just going to run through some of the comments because we've got the guys here already saying their evenings. So James Payne, AFC, good evening, guys. Hope you're well. And a little personal hello. Hi, Scott there. We've got Georgina with us tonight. No training for me, so I'm here evening all. Nice to have you. We've also got Wheezy J. Hello, guys. Just left work and I'm ready for the night episode. Bring it on. Indeed, it's going to be a jam-packed episode. Gunforce Edits, good evening. Good evening, everyone. We've also got the North Bank Summit. Hey, guys, big screen viewing again. And we have Joseph Connor Golden. Good evening. Big up Lottie G and Scott. Arteta out. Well, that's going to be one that we will be discussing later on in the show. Mark Wilson. Hi, everyone. Good evening, Mark. We've also got Robert Morning from Down Under. Big ups to the panel. Big up to yourself. And Wareham 19581. Evening, guys. Evening. Good evening, Ryan. Good evening, Jay. Good evening, Chris. And I think this is one of our favorites in terms of ats. W Ducky, nice to hear an Aussie accent. Nice to have you on the show. So yeah, obviously with it being a busy show, we are going to get straight into it. But also we do like to kind of keep things fresh, kind of freshen things up here at Cannon Chatter. And I'm going to bring up some pictures. This was, well, actually, Lottie, this was your idea. So I'll bring up the pictures. and then just give us a little bit of background about fans' photos and how it came about and why you thought it was a really good idea.
So at the end of last week's show, I was saying, me and you were talking, and I said to you, "Oh, I've got to take loads of photos when I go off to the football when we're up there." And I had a light bulb moment, and I decided, well, I suggested, I should say, to the boys that we should get you guys involved and taking your pictures if you're at the games or if you're somewhere around the world. If you're at home on the sofa taking like watching the game from wherever you are because you can't go to the game. If you're out in the pubs, anywhere, we want your pictures. We want to see how you're supporting our team. And this is our wonderful graphic that Stephen and Martin have come up with, I believe. So let's get into it.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, I'm literally going to flip through these. If you can just kind of talk us through it, that would be great.
Sure. Definitely. Okay, so this was at the Top Pins in Finsbury Park. This is actually the first time we all met. Obviously, I'm down the little short stop in the middle. And then we've got Wilson, who's on the right-hand side. You've got Guna Grizz in the middle, and then you've got Warren as well. Me and Warren have known each other for a couple of months now through Twitter, but the other two was the first time I met them, and they're absolutely great. It's just Arsenal family. We just get on. Absolutely great. Good laugh. Pair of them. Again, this picture is Guna Grizz and Wilson again. They're also known as Bear and Weasel. Me and Warren again, messing about with the camera. This was just before kickoff. I was in row 33 up the back of the North Bank. I was dry, so I didn't care how far up I was, even if it was the back row. Again, thank you to Jay, who gave me his spare ticket. Much appreciated. And that's after the game. We've got the North Bank Summit Liam in there. Then there's Jay, who has just said thank you for the ticket for. And then Warren and me, we were at the toilet and after the game. It was absolutely rammed. And in that picture, that was pre-match again. And an extra person in there is Derek, who again I met through a Arsenal group chat that Guna Grizz set up. So that was before the game, before everything went wrong.
Nice to see so many new Arsenal shirts as well. Really, really nice.
Yeah,
but it's just nice to see like all the different shirts. I think that's the thing that kind of struck me from the pictures was like the variety of Guna shirts is really, really nice.
No, definitely. It's just great. That was the point where I gave up. I never sit down in a game. Last 10 minutes, I gave up and they caught me and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I just gave up at that point.
I can imagine.
And that was when Jacka got injured. I took that picture just for Stephen. That was when Jacka was on the floor and he needed medical attention. Okay. So I thought that would brighten up his day, to be fair. I just realised I just said his name.
That's okay. Stephen might not be happy with you, but it's all right. I'll forgive you.
Okay, right. Anyway, I think that was just before the game kicked off. Just so you guys get a view of what I was seeing. It did rain very heavy that day, but I was dry. Again, that was another pic sent in by Guna Grizz. Got Derek and Matt in there as well.
Nice.
As you can see how busy it was. I think the start. Sorry, G, go back to that picture. I've got a little story for you guys.
No worries.
So
you got a story for us.
Yeah, where the 12 pin is, you've got the what's it called? The black horse, black something across the road. It's another Arsenal pub. This guy decided to walk down the road in nothing other than a Tottenham shirt. Both pubs were screaming at him to get we were all singing the Tottenham songs at him. It was brilliant. It was so good.
Shirt, right? He had other.
He had other clothes on, but he had a full-on brand new Tottenham kit.
I just want to clarify.
That's what I was thinking too.
Please, I would have been mortified. Get your minds out the gutter. Come on. But it was just so great just to hear the pub, the pubs, inside, outside, just light up with noise, and it was like, yes, I'm home. And
nice.
it was just incredible. You can see how busy it is behind me for the amount of people in there.
Oh, definitely. It looks like it would have been an amazing.
I was in there from about 1 o'clock till 3:30, and then I made my way round, bumped into the bloody Chelsea fans, of course, with their awful flares. They sang this crappy song that they sing. And it was like, okay, you done now? Bye. I'm going in. Because obviously I couldn't go up the stairs to get out of the way because I was still drinking my cider. So
yeah. And I think the last one was sent in by David Israel, I believe.
Yeah, that's David. Yeah, David Israel went to the game. Unfortunately, I didn't catch him. It looks like he was in the clock end by the looks of things, which is the complete opposite end to where me and Jay was in. if you look at the background of his picture, you can see how high I was sitting up.
Yeah.
But I believe David had a really good time as well. I'm hoping to catch him next time.
Nice.
After the game, it kind of kicked off on the bridge, as I've told you guys, and it wasn't a pretty sight, especially from our fans. It was disgusting. I don't condone it.
Cool. Oh, well, thank you for doing that. And like I said, you know, Arsenal fans, you know, who are watching or, you know, kind of follow us on Twitter, Lottie, myself and Stephen will be kind of throwing these tweets out there in terms of any of you that do get to the games. If you want to share your photos with us, we'll be happy to kind of do, you know, something like this every now and then. Probably not every show, but every now and then, you know, just so we can kind of put faces to, you know, the gooners, you know, that kind of follow our show and you know, light up the comments and stuff like that. It's always nice to kind of put a face to, you know, an @ or a name on Twitter. So yeah, thank you for doing that, Lottie, and thank you particularly for David, who sent that photo in to us. Really appreciate it.
I think the highlight for me, G, is the fact that we're getting people involved and people like to get involved. We want you to get involved, so send your pictures in. When you see those tweets, send them in to me, send them to G, send them to the Caraboa account, send them to Stephen. And then
we've got Chris here who's already kicking it off, I think, with a completely different argument, which is Arteta in. We've got Keith. Good evening, Keith. Nice to have you once again. And lastly, we've got the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Lottie, you was in those.
I avoided it. Ryan, don't be so cheeky. Cool. I know Ryan was at that game. Ryan, where was your pictures?
Yeah, Ryan, where was your pictures? Reply in the comments. So obviously, that was good. And I thought, you know, it's always nice to kind of start the show positively, because I think a lot of the stuff that we are going to be talking about and discussing tonight will be, you know, semi-negative just because of the state of affairs, you know, at Arsenal at the moment, both kind of on and off the pitch. But I think the thing we're going to kind of discuss first and foremost is the Chelsea game. So not a lot of us, I just kind of get your opinion on this, Scott, because I know I wasn't confident about the game, but I said, you know, in our previous show that I thought we could potentially scrape a 1-1 or a 2-2, and that was really kind of blind optimism. Really, I don't think that's what my heart was really saying. Most fans, if not all fans, probably predicted a defeat of some kind. How were you personally feeling about the game leading up and leading into the match itself?
Look, it's pretty simple. When you look at the two squads, there is an absolute golfing class. Like when we were planning for our show, because we did a preview show on our channel for Arsenal Chelsea, the idea was floated of doing an Arsenal Chelsea combined 11. And I said to the guys, because one of the co-hosts is a Chelsea fan, I said it will be the shortest segment ever.
Yeah. Because
it would basically be your squad with some of our players on the bench.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, there wasn't a lot to feel optimistic about. You obviously have that thought in the back of your head that being a derby, anything can happen. And stranger things have happened. We did the double over them last season. So going in, they're the champions of Europe. They've got an outstanding manager. They've just signed one of the best strikers in the world. Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I was expecting anything other than a loss, to be completely honest.
Yeah, no problem. And I think, you know, that would be echoed by a lot of Arsenal fans. You know, obviously during the show, the comments, speaking to kind of Arsenal fans, but just in kind of general life, all the gooners I know personally, none of us, you know, were very optimistic going into that match. And I know how you felt, Lottie, so I'm not really going to ask your opinion with regards to that.
Can I just add one thing?
You want to say something?
I'm glad I was wrong about the 3-0. Every time that they went, Chelsea attempted to score, you can ask Jay, I was sitting there like that. Please don't let me be right. Please don't. Yeah, I'm glad to be wrong. But I knew
they should have. So. They should have if it wasn't for a brilliant save by Leno. Absolutely.
I know. I know. Everyone knows I don't like the geezer, but credit's due where credit's due. What a save!
Yeah. Cool. Well, look, that kind of sums up obviously how we were feeling going into the match. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to share the actual lineup. So going into the game, this was. Do I need to make this larger for you guys, or is that okay?
It's good. Yeah. I love. Did Chris make this? I love the 34. Yes. That's brilliant. I love it.
Definitely. So yeah. So obviously this was the team news. Going into the game, we had Leno in goal, Cedric at right back, Holding, Murray at centre back, and Tierney at left back. We had number 34 and Lokonga in midfield. Smith Rowe playing number 10, and a front three of Pepe, Martinelli, and Saka. Now, what were your initial thoughts about this lineup? I'll come to you first, Lottie. When you saw the lineup, obviously given all the circumstances going on in and around the club at the moment with regards unavailability, team use, etc., how did you feel about the team that Arteta put out against Chelsea?
Most of it, I'm not surprised. I was hoping Bob Baldwin would do a job against Lukaku like he has done in the past, like against Diego Costa, Mr. Potato Head. But I think the shock one that is Cedric. We haven't seen Cedric in so long. It's like, oh, hang on, he's starting. But other than that, it was as expected from him.
Yeah.
I mean, I have had my dream of Torreira in the middle, but not going to happen now. So, but yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Thing is, I completely forgot about Martinelli. So I was quite happy with it. Team was fine with me. That's what I expected with what we got.
Yeah. Okay, Scott. In terms of the, personnel, as well as the formation, do you think Arteta got it right with both tactics and personnel?
Look, in terms of personnel, it was probably the strongest lineup we had fit. I was advocating before the game, I would have liked to see us go to a back three for this game. And I think it showed because every time, and I know we're not going too far tactically into it, but every time Lukaku had the ball, both our centre-backs were coming in on him, which was creating big spaces for their attack. Like, being real, they probably should have scored more. So I think having a back three would have just given us a little bit more cover, but we played to his strengths. In terms of the rest of the squad, hard to complain. The only issue I have is with right back. We've got more right backs than any other club in the Premier League at this point, but we need to kind of pick one and stick with them, because so much, in my opinion, as an absolutely amateur footballer, is relationships in defence. You need to have that almost mental telepathic communication with your partners. Now, when our right back is chopping and changing every game, it's hard to build that relationship. I actually would like to. I still think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the best right back we have at the club, but it doesn't seem like he'll be getting back into the team anytime soon. I would much rather see him over Cedric or Chambers, to be completely honest. But yeah, lineup was as strong as we had, in my opinion.
It's interesting, because I think myself and Lottie had a little bit of a debate about this with regards defence in the past, and I completely understood her criticism for the two centre backs in the Brentford game. But one of the points I was trying to highlight during that show was about the relationships, and I just feel like, in a way, I kind of feel for Arteta, because I feel as though with the lack of quality, but also this, it just seems like this consistent, fitness issue of our players. It's like he never seems to have a full squad to pick from. So when you have the combination of the lack of quality with the unavailability of key players, it's like, I don't know what the stats are, but I can't imagine we would have had a consistent back four for any length of time since he's joined the club. So it is really hard to kind of criticize him. I must admit, I was surprised to see Cedric. And that was just because we've not seen him for so long. I was really surprised that we didn't go back to a back three, or technically a back five, because I think the success we had against the big boys last season, and particularly in the FA Cup run and so forth, we were playing a back three. In terms of the rest of the team, midfield and up top, I don't think he could have picked a better side, really, because we are literally bottom of the barrel in terms of our options. Hopefully we can get some players fit and back for the games that are coming up. But yeah, on the whole, I wasn't too disappointed with the lineup. I kind of sympathize with him to a certain extent in terms of the options that he has available to him. So obviously the game kicked off, and I said to you guys before we came on the live that I'm not going to go through the kind of inside out of the match incidents, because to be honest, it would be a Chelsea show because really and truly we didn't have much in terms of match incidents, well, positive match incidents to talk about. So I just kind of want to get your opinion on a couple of, obviously massive talking points since the game and since the result. And I'll come to you first on this one, Scott. So obviously Lukaku, big money move from Inter Milan, previously played in the Premiership with Chelsea and Everton, had kind of conflicting careers with the two sides, etc. Obviously had a cracking, debut for Chelsea, scored a goal within 15 minutes of his debut. What are your thoughts and your opinions just on, not so much how he played, but more so how we dealt or didn't deal with him as an attacking threat?
We didn't. To be, and talking about this game, and I've done it a few times, it's almost kind of miserable because there wasn't much positive to pick out from us. And I was hoping that we would at least give Lukaku a tough time. But in the second half, he was clapping the fans, like literally visibly stopping and clapping the fans in the middle of a set piece. But I think we played to his strengths. Lukaku's a physical, strong lad, and he plays best when defenders are tight to him. He's a very skillful player too. So because both our centre-backs kept getting drawn into him, he was able to just hold that ball up, take a quick touch to the side. He plays really well if he's back to goal. I think in terms of how he'll fare this year, he's one of the Golden Boot contenders, surely, because he's going to bully so many defenders. I don't think Pablo Mari is going to be the last player that gets put on his bum trying to tackle Lukaku. So, interesting. He's going to be a great signing. He's someone that, I miss the days when we were in for those kind of caliber signings, but we're just not there at this point, are we?
No. And just touching upon that kind of Lukaku versus Mari contest. Now, I know, in an ideal world, if we were to have a full fit squad, Gabriel would probably most likely play as left centre back. Murray is probably moving forward going to be nothing more than a squad player or to deputise for him. However, like last season, he got, quite a few, accolades, applauds. There were times when he had a good run in the side. He looked pretty solid. But having seen his performance, in the Brentford game, in the Chelsea game, obviously against quite physical centre forwards in Tony and Lukaku, do you have your doubts about him being a long-term player for Arsenal in the Premier League?
Oh, absolutely. To me, you hit the nail on the head. He's a squad player. He's there for depth. He's there for an emergency if there's injuries. Not every player in your squad can be absolutely top class. So you do need players in there just for a bit of depth so that when you do have injuries, they can come in and play a role. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to play that role in the first two games. Last season, he showed glimpses of good performances, but to me, he's not someone who starts. He's not someone.
Is he a good enough squad player, though?
Well, where we are at the moment, no, he's not good enough, but he's what we've got. And I can't see our owners going out and splashing the cash just to bring in better. So we've kind of got to we're at a point now where we have to look at our squad and say, this is probably as good as it gets this season. I'm doubtful about new signings coming in. I actually think we're done for the window. So we've got to look at the squad. We've got a manager then who has been backed. He's been able to spend some money. He needs to get the best out of them. You can't keep saying the squad's not good enough. At some point, he has to step up.
He's an Arteta buy, isn't he? Arteta brought him in.
One of many now. One of my main things that I would defend Arteta on last season was he wasn't backed. But now he's been backed. We've spent more than any other club in the Premier League. So it's time to start looking at the combinations, looking at the players, trying to form some solid partnerships and relationships, because our back four changes every single match, even when our squad's fit. We need some consistency. We need now that chemistry to build.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, Lottie, you were at the game, so you could see, firsthand what it was like, how the Arsenal defence fared and played against Lukaku. And what were your general thoughts?
I mean, where do I start? It was points where they were okay, but they weren't absolutely great. I mean, as you can hear, I'm recovering from my voice, screaming at them from the back. But no, it wasn't great. I mean, like, he'd come full on charging them, and for some reason, Mari would panic. When you doesn't matter who you're defending against, you can't panic. You're meant to be that last man before Leno, because Leno's shaky as it is, and we need a solid back three, back four.
You said the same thing when you played Brentford as well. Yep. You said that you saw the similar signs from Mari in terms of panic when players were running at him.
He's panicking under pressure, and I don't understand it, because we rarely saw that last season.
He looked a lot more composed.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, whether his head's there or what's to do with his head, or if he's got other things going on. But he just needs to concentrate on what he's doing and not bloody panic. Like, we saw him have a go at Leno, because that was Leno's fault. But he needs to concentrate on what he's doing as well. And they need to start talking to each other. So one thing they weren't doing, it was only Kieran and Bob Balding that was screaming at each other. Rest of them, silence, nothing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a communication issue there when they're defending.
Yeah. Okay. So, obviously, like I said, we're not going to delve too much into the game in terms of match incidents, because there weren't that many. We've spoken about Lukaku. I'm not really going to, revisit the goal itself. I don't really want to. But, there was a moment in the game where, I certainly felt, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans certainly felt, that we were quite unlucky to not win a penalty. I'm not sure what minute it was, but Saka burst into the box, and he was kind of, upended or fouled or blocked off by Reece James. Lottie, in terms of that incident, and I don't want to sit here and say, had that gone in, it would have changed the game. It would have changed reflection. Obviously, it could have, but what were your thoughts just merely about the incident itself? Do you think that the ref and VAR got it right, or do you think that Arsenal and Saka deserved more from that decision?
No, we deserved more from that decision. Even from when I was sitting, it was down the other end of the pitch, and it's a penalty all day long. I even watched the replay, and I was like, "What are these people watching?" I mean, this was after the game. I think Liam had it up on his phone, and I look at it and I went, "A penalty all day long." And obviously, it showed all the angles, and I was like, there were so many decisions that did go against us. I don't want to blame the referee for that game, because we weren't up to scratch in the first place. Yeah. But there were so many decisions that went against us, which was ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah. Yourself, Scott? Similar view?
You're on mute, Scott.
This is what happens when you're up at 6 a.m, hey? Look, similar view, but to go into a match as an Arsenal fan expecting any help from the referees, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. In saying that, they have kind of come out and said that this season they really want to tighten up the foul calls and not be giving them away for challenges that maybe aren't as physical. I don't know if it's a little bit of that coming in, because, I mean, there was contact. It wasn't heavy contact, in my opinion. If they're consistent, I'm okay with it not being given. But if I turn on Manchester United's match next week and they're given a penalty for something similar, I'll be fuming.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we all want, really, is consistency. It's either one or the other. It's either, you're going to be whistle happy and blow for anything that happens in the box, or you're going to say, look, guys, toughen up. Don't fall over so easy, and it's going to be tough to get a penalty from any official. And I think that's all we want as fans, is consistency. And I think for Arsenal fans, we definitely don't feel like we get a fair rub of the green, because we don't. We see decisions given or not given for other teams, and when it comes to us, it's almost like there's a different rule book. So I do think it was a penalty, in my opinion, and I'm just going by what I've seen throughout last season. But again, if they're taking a different stance on it, I'm all up for that. But it just needs to be a more consistent approach, across the whole kind of Premier League. Okay, so obviously, Chelsea went 2-0 up, etc., etc. Now, in terms of this game as a whole, now we've had a couple of days, and I just want to say to those of you who are watching that we generally don't do review shows straight after the match. And a lot of that is to do with, we are passionate Gooners. You'll know from Lottie, on Twitter, myself on Twitter, Stephen on Twitter, and just obviously from our shows that we are very passionate. And there are times when, to be honest, I don't really want to do a show straight after a defeat. I find it quite difficult to kind of pick myself up for it. And we like to kind of leave it a little bit of time just so that, the dust settles and we can kind of look at the performance from a kind of more, I'd say fair and reasonable perspective. But in terms of the game, now we've had a couple of days for it to digest. I'm sure you've kind of, looked back at the highlights, looked at the performances of both teams, etc. I'll come to you first, Scott. What is your general summary of the performance against Chelsea?
General summary. You can tell that they're the champions of Europe. You can tell that they've got a tactically capable manager who's got a squad that he wanted. And I think consistency is the one thing that Arsenal really need. Now, we've been impacted by injury and illness, so I don't necessarily blame Arteta for the fact that we haven't been consistent. But when you look back at last season, even when we had a fresh squad, there was still a lot of chopping and changing. I think we need to look at a back five, especially when we're playing teams that potentially have more strike power than we do. And I think we need some consistency in defence because relationships are integral to how you defend. And it's not just about the guys at the back. Defence now in modern football is a whole team process. It starts from the top of the pitch. So they're kind of my general key thoughts on that.
And Lottie, how are you feeling now? Obviously, we've had a couple of days to kind of reflect and digest on the match and the performance itself. Do you think it was a good performance? Do you take into account, some of the stuff that Scott said in terms of like unavailability of players? What's your kind of general feeling about that performance and the result itself?
Well, it was another possession game, really. I haven't exactly looked at this. I can't remember the stats off the top of my head because I did look at them. I think we had most of the possession in the second half. I think I'm not 100%. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't score you goals. One thing I was really pleased about was to see Aubameyang back. I mean, he came off the bench and he was feeding off that energy from us. And like, there was no booing, there was no nothing. We were completely behind him on the ground, and he fed off that energy. It's just a shame we didn't get anything out of it. But if fans can carry on like that all the way through, ignore the booing. And like, you might want to feel like you do it, but you need to be behind that team at that time because that's how we're gonna get through this sort of dry, shocking patch. And we're just behind them because I just, even Smith Rowe was feeding off the energy from us. But no, but Aubameyang, he's always thrived from energy from the fans. And that's what he needs, especially with everything else that's been going around. Like,
I think that's what the whole team is doing right now.
Exactly. I think they're all feeling it. But we just need to get behind them, and then hopefully we can find our way out of this bleak wood by September. And I mean, most people are saying our season starts at Norwich.
Yeah,
I know you said it, Scott. So.
Yeah. Well, look, we're not. I think it's really, really important that we're not promoting negativity, but we're not also promoting blind optimism. I think we're kind of promoting just being realistic, and we have to take into consideration that our squad is not the squad we need, to really compete. We have to take into consideration, I think it was up to 9 first-team players were out against Chelsea, who are the European champions and just signed probably one of the top 3 forwards in the world. So we have to kind of be realistic in terms of where we are and in terms of our expectations. At the same time, we can't accept it and we can't be happy with what we're seeing because, it's not looking good at the moment. The table, albeit 2 games in, we've played 2, we've lost 2, we've conceded 4, and we've scored none. Yes, we've played Brentford, who, for the first game of the season, it was their cup final, playing Arsenal at home. And obviously, playing Chelsea, the European champions, as Scott and Lottie said, is going to be a tough game for anybody. They're going to be title challenges. Players, Lukaku is going to be up there in terms of, a potential Golden Boot winner. So, yeah, it's a tough time for Gooners. It's a tough time for all of us. But I think it's also, having said all of that, we do need to make sure that we are being as positive as possible towards the players and towards the manager, because regardless of our opinions on the players and the manager, they are currently Gooners, and he is currently the man in charge. So, like I said, we're not promoting negativity, but we're not promoting blind optimism. We kind of got to be somewhere in the middle and just be realistic in terms of where we are and what we're doing at the moment. So yeah, before we move on, obviously, thank you guys for your opinions. We're going to get through some of the comments because I've kind of neglected the comments as they've been coming in, and we will kind of touch upon as they're coming in. So we've got, let me see, my computer's moving very slow. We've got Chris here. So good evening, Chris. As I said last show, I think 90% of Arsenal fans would have expected us to lose that game and the upcoming City one. We just can't compete with those two. It's just unfortunate they are being played back to back. Agreed. And I think most Arsenal fans, realistically, although we would want to kind of compete with those teams, at present, it probably is just not realistic. When we're spending 129 million on 5 players and they're spending near enough the same on 1 player, kind of just, puts it all into perspective. Good evening, Weezy J. Seriously, it was poor. It looks like Year 11 teaching new freshmen who the boss of the pitch is. At times, it probably did feel like that. I have to be honest. Mr. Sparks, good evening, 1886. You mean he actually played a right back at the...
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so he didn't bring on Tavares and had 3 or 4 right backs sitting on the bench.
He's only played, 3 games as right back now he's played?
Yeah, yeah. Wareham 19, 581. Yeah, should have been a back 3. And I think... I think both of you kind of touched upon that. Were you surprised that he didn't play a back 3?
Lottie, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, no, do you know what? If Ben White didn't come back positive for COVID, I was expecting a back 3. As soon as that COVID rumour, Stephen mentioned us on the night before the game, I was right back 4. You ain't going to see no back 3.
So why has he forgotten this tactic then? The tactic that actually, served us so well against City and Chelsea in the cup run. Why is he just forgotten it? Why has he just dispelled it? Why is he not using it?
He's doing a load of trial and errors again. I don't understand why. He should have done this in the pre-season. I mean, the tactic worked last season, and for some reason we're not doing it again.
Yeah.
I don't ask me because I don't know what's I don't know what goes on inside that man's head. Scott?
Yeah, look, again, the key thing from his tenureship at Arsenal is just consistency, tactic, and I think Mikel's got a lot to offer. I just hope it happens because I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. One of the comments that came up, I think it was Chris, you said maybe, the one about we were expecting to lose against Chelsea. And the thing that kind of hurts most when you've been an Arsenal fan for an extended period of time, it just kind of hurts that you would go into games against Chelsea and City as the favourites.
Yeah.
Them days are still in my head. And now to see where we're at, it hurts a little bit there. Just to see how far things have changed.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. And I get your point. It is about being realistic. It's not, should never cross into abuse. It should never cross into, over the top negativity. So, yeah, let's just hope we turn this around, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, G, could you just go back up to Chris's comments 2 back?
No problem.
Yeah, with that one, I got to disagree. Saka is the only player that goes to ground out of anybody, whoever he actually tries to get a penalty. I know I shouldn't condone it, but he's the only one that does. Nobody else does it. So
do you think he's getting a bit of a reputation for going down easy?
if he's not careful, he will.
Yeah.
But
The
nobody
thing
else
is,
does
though,
it.
he's little, though, isn't he? He's lightweight. So, you know,
He's
am I being
gonna
too
fall a
kind?
bit.
Does he go down? Well, what do you guys think? Do you think he goes down too easy, or do you think he could stay on his feet a bit better? Like, what do you think?
It's a bit like you just said for me. Like the thing is, he's also a kid as well. He's not even 20 yet, so he's still
he's
trying to
lightweight.
bulk up and catch up on the leg days with Smith Rowe.
It's funny. Jay says here, just have a look at the Spuds pen. I didn't actually see it.
That was ridiculous.
I didn't see it.
Was it? Didn't see it at this best. Yep. Jay's completely right.
Okay. James Payne, AFC. Fair to say, some of us aren't that lucky. Had to record my podcast about 5 minutes after the Brentford defeat. We're still fuming. I know, literally, mate. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it. Like, honestly, I think if I did it, I'm not sure if YouTube would let me back on. Like, honestly, sometimes.
Yeah, I think you went missing for about 2 days, and I had to text him. Is he okay? We haven't heard from him.
Listen, like, you don't understand the passion and the love, I have for Arsenal. And when I see these types of performances,
I know.
It honestly, there was a time when my missus said to me, I don't want you watching the games. I literally don't want you watching the games, because when you watch the games, it's like it ruins your whole weekend, and your whole demeanor is just off, like, literally. And I completely understand where she's coming from, you know what I mean? Because it does. I can see, like, it has a massive impact on me. But yeah, sometimes I just have to go missing, because I literally just can't. I can't deal with Twitter. I can't deal with, you know, all the DMs and the messages I get from Spurs fans and United fans and Chelsea fans. I just literally have to go missing. Do you know what I mean?
I had my first taste of Chelsea Twitter this weekend.
Yeah,
that was fun. No,
that's crazy, man. Here, so Chris, again, we went years with the same 4 defenders since they left. I don't think we've really had a settled back 4. I'm going to breeze through some of these now, because we need to get a move on. Sorry, booing shouldn't be happening. It's crazy. James Payne, as for Chelsea, was there for the first time since moving up north. That 6-hour journey back was bad, I can imagine. Warren Burke, good evening. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. No problem, you're with us now, and that's the most important thing. Mrs. Sparks, 1886, season defo starts at Norwich. I think a lot of Gooners feel that way. Robert, love how you used us for the penalty example. Scott.
Robbie is a United fan.
Okay.
He's also on the podcast with Scott.
Welcome.
Nice to see a United fan in the comments, actually.
Yeah. Difference is Abramovich. Well, you know what? This is something that I've always said to, you know, rival fans, Chelsea fans, City fans, is that, you know, no disrespect to your clubs, but, you know, I can't necessarily say the same for the likes of United and Liverpool and so forth, but definitely for Chelsea and Man City, you know, I have my reservations about giving them, you know, the accolades and the clout that they think they deserve. Because for me, if it weren't for the oil money or whatever money or wherever it comes from, I just can't see them having done the stuff they've done. So I don't really respect them as such as maybe some of the other big clubs in the league that are doing bits. You've got so many comments here. I'm going to try and breeze through them really quickly. Judge Dredd, the law. So, love the show. You're sorry I've been quiet, but I'm stuck in traffic and a thunderstorm. As when I'll win, lose, or Arsenal till I die, which will soon be a beautiful club.
Get home safe, Antonio.
With hope, yeah. Joseph, Connor Golden, always support the team, but Lottie and G don't get a lot of fans' excuses, as Emery never got these amount of chances, Arteta, which is true, and that's something we'll probably touch upon at some point, because obviously I saw some stats, and Arteta's stats are not great, even in comparison to Unai Emery. So as I click through some of these comments here, what is your opinion, Scott? Do you feel as though if we were to base Arteta's performance in comparison to Emery, should we already be kind of showing him the door, or are you happy that Arteta's getting more time than say Emery did?
I'm a little bit of a soft heart in the sense that I hate seeing a manager get sacked. I honestly, I don't like it. Maybe it's the years of Wenger that we were spoiled with, having that consistency and someone there so long. But I mean, someone put out footage of Arteta on the sideline. He looks like he's aged about 10 years since he's taken the Arsenal job. And I'm no person to speak on what it's like to look youthful, but he just looks like it's really taking a toll on him. So
Stressed.
I think he's been backed, guys. He can't say he hasn't been backed. But I think I read a stat, and I could be wrong. I'm sure the live chat will tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's 20 out of 60 games have been losses.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, to me, that's insane for a club of our size. And I think had we kept Emery, had we given his process the patience, and had we given him 129 million or so to spend, I would be very curious to see what our squad looked like. But in saying that, if Emery was performing well when he was here, he wouldn't have got sacked either. So I do think Arteta's had some extra patience and extra backing that Emery did not get. So interesting times, guys. Interesting times.
Yeah, and Mr. Sparks has just put here, I don't know if this stat is correct, but 25 losses in 88, I think. Is that Arteta or is that Emery? I'm not too sure myself. I don't know if that stat is relevant to Arteta or Emery. How about yourself, Lottie, with regards to the whole kind of Arteta versus Emery debate? What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you guys. Just before Emery left, I stopped watching. I couldn't do it anymore. I just sat there and read the papers. I was just like, no, can't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been given the time, but I think what's irritating at the moment is people are calling all these managers frauds. I mean, they're qualified. What are you talking about? I mean, also at the moment, another thing. Everyone's like, Conte. He isn't going to come. Stephen made the point last week.
Yeah.
He won't be given the money he wants. He left his last job because of that very reason. Even the papers are all putting it down to Conte. It's not going to happen. I mean, realistically, who is there? There's managers that are in their jobs that we can take them out of their jobs and they can come to us. Fair enough. But who realistically is going to leave their team if they're doing well and come to us? Is Brendan Rodgers going to leave Leicester? No.
Do you think then? Do you think that Arteta's been given more time by a larger proportion of the fan base because he played for Arsenal, and because we've had the whole Emery experiment and it didn't really go to plan? Do you think that's why he's been given more time?
Possibly.
Because if his record's worse than Emery, it kind of leaves you questioning, well, why is he still in a job?
Possibly, but as I said, he's scored 14 club goals in his career for us from the midfield. I mean, he's not that sentimental. I know with most of those parts of people are sentimental FC. I'm sentimental over Rob Holding. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
When it's time to go, it's gonna be bye. See you later. But it's not a sentiment thing. I think it's just it's a case of the club giving him more time to do what he wants to do. They're giving him the players he wants in, but it's a case of trimming down the squad as well. And then also Arsenal fans need to be patient.
And we can't
and
go
that's
from
what we expect. That's what we expect. Even if you look at the Man United situation with Ole at the wheel, same situation. They're not.
Yeah, we can't go from
sections of their fan base.
Manager after manager. There has to come a point where we realistically, and obviously the whole Kroenke thing is another debate for another show. But we're not going to throw 200-300 million pounds at a transfer window. So at the end of the day, we can't just go from sacking manager to manager to manager. Like the likes of Chelsea and Abramovich will do that, because Abramovich will give his manager 200-300 million pounds, and he will sign a marquee signing like Lukaku. And they've got European football. They're the European champions. They're in a completely different position to us. If we kind of sack managers, after every kind of 12 to 18 months, it's just not going to improve things. So I'm kind of on the fence really with the whole kind of Arteta Emery thing. But look, he's the man in charge at the moment, so we've just got to kind of just see how it goes. Yeah, we just got to see how it goes. But obviously that kind of sums up a lot of the comments, and also the Chelsea review. Didn't really want to spend too much time on it, but we kind of spoke about a lot of the things kind of in and around the club rather than the actual match itself. Because let's face it, it wasn't much of a contest, really and truly, in terms of on the pitch. Now, because we don't like to just focus on the negatives on this show, I thought, and me and Lottie and Stephen thought it would be a really good idea to concentrate on something positive coming out of Arsenal Football Club at the moment. And I'm going to bring up this picture, and it's of this guy here, Sambi. Lokonga, but he likes to be known as Sambi. He's got Sambi on his back. Our new number 23. And I have to be honest, when we were linked with Sambi, I had no clue who he was. My only kind of thoughts or opinions on him was based on what had been said by, the great Thierry Henry and obviously the Manchester City ex-captain company who is now in charge of the Anderlecht side. So obviously he was signed for about between 17 to 18 million, which could have or probably did raise a few eyebrows given the lack of quality of our squad as a whole. He had a good preseason. He's played against both Brentford and Chelsea, probably given Partey's absence from the side. Just give me your thoughts, guys, on how he's performed and, what do you see in terms of like Sambi moving forward? Because quite honestly, Partey probably will be returning to training at the end of this month. I'd probably say up for selection maybe mid-September. Scott, what have you made of Sambi so far in an Arsenal shirt?
He has exceeded all expectations. He's been a brilliant player. I think I put out a tweet the other day saying one of the positives is that Lokonga is not a player for the future. He's a player for now. Yeah. He has stepped in, and we've seen that's been a bit of a theme over the last couple of years where young players who, as fans, we see them in there and we say, you know what, let's just see how they go.
Yeah.
But the young players have been carrying this team on their backs and on their shoulders and doing the heavy lifting. So he's been brilliant. His passing is really crisp. His work rate is commendable. I would actually like to see him and Thomas Partey in the middle together. Can you imagine seeing both of them on the pitch at the same time? I would much rather see those two than 34. And I'll say the 34 thing because I know the channel's rules. So I don't want to break the rules my first time. You won't invite me back.
And Lottie, I know you absolutely love Sambi. I know you do.
Love him. I love him. I'm an absolute fan girl.
Positive energy. Give us some positive energy after the whole Chelsea review.
Do you know what? I just adore the kid. His work rate's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, even 34 couldn't keep up with him. I absolutely adore the kid. And once Thomas Partey's back, I cannot wait for the 34 to be benched. And I said this at the beginning of the season, I'm going to say it every week. Sambi is going to bench 34, and I don't want to see him again. Contract or no contract.
I can't see it happening.
I know. I
can't either, but I don't care. I love this kid. Like,
I was waiting for you, Scott, because I could see Scott's reaction.
Like,
and you know what? I love your energy, Lottie. I love your optimism with Sambi, benching 34. But Scott, give me your opinion. What you thinking?
When it happens, boys, you can thank me later.
I'm completely. I'm Lottie in. I want Lottie sitting in the dugout because I would love to see it. I just, for some reason, 34 seems untouchable. Like he's like a cat. He's got 9 lives, and he's still got a fair few more to go, I think, with Arsenal. So I don't see him getting benched. Wenger, Arteta, Emery, they all seem to really be a fan of what he brings. I don't know if it's something we're not seeing, maybe, but I'm definitely Lottie in. Lokonga and Thomas Partey in the middle. Bring it on.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, I have to be honest, I didn't know who he was. But obviously he came with, great reference from, 2 great players who graced the Premier League for many, many years. And I must say, like, from the minute he kicked a ball in pre-season, he just looked a good player. And he's just kind of continued that, into the season. And, my only concern, and I don't want to make it negative because I think he's played so well. I think my only concern is that I do feel as though when Partey does come back, I have to agree with Scott. I think he will be benched. And I think that could potentially have an impact on his confidence. But also just when I look at the likes of Saka, Smith-Rowe, Tierney, Sambi, Gabriel, we've got a really good core of young, Arsenal players. My only concern is just the form of the team at the moment. And just, we've all played football here, whether it was amateur level, etc. It's horrible losing. It really is. And it does have an impact on your confidence in terms of how you play and how the team plays. And I just feel as though a lot of the senior players in the team, regardless of what our opinions are of those senior players, I think they really need to kind of step up to the plate and really kind of, in a way, kind of put their arm around some of these youngsters and actually, put in a shift in games and put in a performance. Because yes, these young players are good. They're going to have, amazing futures. They've got bags of potential. But let's face it, like you said, Scott, these young players have been carrying us for however long. And I think it's about time that, the likes of, Aubameyang, Leno, number 34, they actually consistently put in performances so that the pressure can actually be taken off the youngsters. Because let's face it, there's just too much pressure on them at the moment. Yeah.
Honestly, question to you guys, when was the last good game that you saw 34 had?
The Euros.
Yeah.
That was for Arsenal. That's a cheat. For Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know,
we all
to be
know how
honest.
well he plays for Switzerland, and even then I thought he only had one good game. So
yeah, but you can say that. The thing is, I always like to play kind of devil's advocate here, because I think like a lot of the time, shows and those of us that do YouTube channels, we can get kind of labeled as, kind of picking on Xhaka or number 34. But, I agree with you in terms of number 34 and in terms of consistently he doesn't perform. But when you actually look at our team, we could say that about a lot of the, experienced players. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw Aubameyang have a good game. I can't remember the last time I can remember the last time I saw Leno, obviously against Chelsea, he had a good game. He did a great save. But then the game before that, he looked shaky. He looked like really flustered. In pre-season, he didn't look great. So it's like we have this kind of combination of not only do we have obviously players like number 34, but if you look throughout that squad, the players that should be consistent performers in terms of the experienced members of the team, they're not, and they're not doing it consistently. And so that has a massive impact on our results and our performances, because we can't keep relying on these youngsters. We really, really can't. But like I said, Sambi, we've signed him. We didn't know who he was, but I think from what we've seen, he's going to be a great addition, to the Arsenal team for years to come. So, I'm really, really glad, we did sign him, and, our scouts are doing something right. That's for sure. So that maybe that's a positive, coming out of the club at the moment. But yeah, so we're going to move on at this stage. Those of you who are still with us, thank you for tuning in. Obviously, if you just joined us, we've gone over the Chelsea game. We've spoken a little bit about obviously just kind of reaction to the Chelsea match, and we've touched upon a positive in Sambi and his performances so far this season. Now, what we're going to do in the kind of second half of this show is we're going to be looking ahead to our next game, which is taking place tomorrow night against West Brom in the Caraboa Cup. And first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to bring up Scott's lineup. Now, I know you did two lineups, Scott. You did a lineup that you thought Arteta would play, and you did a lineup that you would like to see. I hope I've put the right one up. This is the lineup that you would hope to see. So if you could just go through the lineup with us and just give us a little bit of rationale or thought behind why you've gone with this formation and why you've gone with these particular players.
Yeah, look, and I'll start by saying before Lottie gets upset with me, the only reason I haven't put Sambi in there is because I think, with his age, he's kind of come in, he's had two big games. It would just be good for him to kind of sit one out, I think, and freshen up. I've gone with the strongest back four we have possible, minus Kieran Tierney, but he's out. He's out for this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing Tavares. I think he plays regardless. Pablo Murray, there's a good little chance for him to redeem himself after a poor display. And I keep saying I still think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the best player right back we have at the club at this point, regardless of whether he likes playing there or not. I think we'll see Ødegaard come in, give Emile Smith-Rowe a little bit of a break. I'm getting a little bit of stick for my middle two, Mo Elneny and 34. Again, only because Lukonga's not fit. Only because I think he needs a bit of a rest. That's why I've got them there. But we are playing a championship team, and I know we'll talk a little bit about expectations and predictions soon. But I think Saka should be able to start. Aubameyang needs to start up front, and Pepe too. We need a strong lineup, and I think this is a strong and balanced lineup. So we can't take this game seriously. We can't take this game lightly. We can't look at West Brom as a championship team because Brentford were a championship team not long ago, and we saw what they did to us, and we're currently sitting 19th. So I'm kind of hoping that 34 and Elneny can provide that little bit of defensive balance that gives Erdegaard a little bit more freedom to go and create. So, yeah.
Cheers. No, definitely. Cheers for that. What I'm going to do right now is, at this stage, is I'm going to bring up the team that, not him, not yet, the team I would like to potentially put out. So this is not Arteta's team. This is the team I would field. So I've gone with the same goalkeeper. I'm looking to give Ramsdale some minutes. At the end of the day, we bought him for £24 million. This is the perfect opportunity to show Gunners, let us see what he's about, because he's come under a lot of criticism, but really and truly, most Gunners have not watched him play really and truly. And I think it's hard to judge him based on the teams and the defenses that he's had in front of him. So I think it'd be a good opportunity to see him playing for Arsenal. Like you, Scott, I've gone with Tavares. I think Tierney had a knock. And I think even if Tierney didn't have a knock, I think this is why we've signed Tavares, so that Tierney doesn't have to play, game after game after game. So Tavares, what I've seen so far, he looks like another gem, similar to Sambi. So I'd have no qualms in putting him in the left back position. I've gone with Murray and Holding similarly because they are our two fit centre backs at the moment, with Gabriel only just returning to training. And obviously Ben White being out due to COVID. Hopefully he recovers, very soon. I, like you, have gone with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, just because I'm just fed up of seeing this guy being wasted on the bench. It doesn't look as though he's going to be leaving the club. Well, he could, obviously, between now and next Tuesday, but the rumours have gone quiet. I just think to myself, a conversation needs to be had between him and Arteta, because if we're not going to get a right back in, this guy needs to start, between now and the end of the season, and just be a kind of constant figure in that back four or back five, etc. I've gone with number 34 in the middle with Sambi. And the reason why I've gone with Sambi and 34 is because I think at the moment they are our best two centre mid options. And I just feel as though, which we're going to get on in a little bit too, I just think it's really is a must win. Not necessarily for Arteta, but I just think for the squad. I just think we, after coming off the back of two quite damaging defeats, at the two different ends of the spectrum, from a championship side to European champions, we just need a win. And it would be just nice to kind of, get a victory and get the confidence up ahead of, a huge game at the weekend. I've gone with Odegaard because he now has a visa. He can play. He's our new signing. He knows the squad. He doesn't need any respite or, any time to kind of gel or transition. I think we can throw him straight in at number 10. And up front, I've kind of changed it a little bit. I feel like this left-hand side is a real issue for us. And to be honest, I'm kind of done with the whole Aubameyang left-hand side experiment, to be honest. I think at one stage it really did work. And I think that's when he was really on form and he was kind of firing in all cylinders. But I just think if we're going to have Aubameyang in the side, we just need to play him down the middle and he needs to get some goals. So I've put Smith Rowe out on the left because I can't really see a reason why we should drop him. He hasn't done a huge amount in terms of scoring a goal or creating a goal, but I don't think that's a fair reflection on his performances. I think he's been a highlight in both games, despite the poor performances of the team. Aubameyang is back, so I'm going to put him back in the side because we need this guy to get goals. The only way we're going to, have any chance of finishing in a European spot is if we either replace him with a top forward or we get him scoring. I can't see us selling him and bringing in somebody between now and Tuesday. So he needs to play. He's our captain. He needs to play and he needs to get goals. And what better way than to get some goals, in the Caraboa Cup against, lesser opposition. I've played Pepe on the right just because I don't really feel like Saka is himself as yet. I think the Euros took its toll on him, both physically and potentially even emotionally. And although there have been glimpses, against Chelsea, I think the kid needs a rest. I don't think we need to kind of rush him back. It's a long season. And I think, once he kind of gets back into the groove of things, I think he's going to make himself undroppable, as he did last season with Arsenal as well as England. So I don't think there's any harm in benching him for this game. Pepe's looked lively during pre-season. He's looked lively during the first 2 games. Not much has happened going forward for him, but I think that's more to do with who's been playing at right back and him just being completely marked out of the game. So I think this, again, would be an opportunity for him to kind of open his account, have a really good game and potentially kind of, win us the game. So, Lottie, I'll come to you. Obviously, you've looked at, this is Scott's side. So I think the only difference is I've picked Sambi over El Nene, and that's it. Oh, yeah. No, and Smith Rowe over Saka. So looking at Scott's team, looking at my team, very similar team. Like I said, the only difference is I've picked Sambi over El Nene, and I've also picked Smith Rowe over Saka, but very, very similar teams. In terms of your opinion, how should Arteta approach this game in terms of obviously the 2 teams? Like both me and Scott have gone with really strong teams for this match. Do you share that opinion? Yes or no? And how do you think, even if you do share or don't share that opinion, how do you think Arteta should approach the game in terms of Wednesday night game against West Brom?
If I'm honest with you, we're going to need to put a strong team out. The second in the Championship, the last I looked, and they're going to be absolutely up for it. They're an ex-Premier League team. They've always kind of turned up against us. We can't afford to make any stupid mistakes or take them for granted just because they're in the Championship. The Championship is just as hard as the Premier League, if not harder in terms of physicality. Yeah,
definitely. We're just going to go through some of these comments now, because obviously the comments are coming in thick and fast with regards to team news. So he needs to gel with the team too. Lokonga needs to start. We've got here, you guys simply can't comprehend the supreme genius that Mikel Arteta, the cross and his header tactic just needs another 7 pre-seasons before it starts working. Okay. Weezy J, El Messi in the team. Oh Lord. We've got
remind me never to put on any in one of my predicted lineups on here again. Hey,
it's El sideways on it.
I just want to clear the air. I would
no Lene and Xhaka versus West Brom's press will be a no for me. Hope everyone is well. I've just come back home and tuned in. You missed David. Good evening, David. We actually shared your picture earlier in the show that you sent in with regards you going to the game. So after the show, do look back because we did give you a special mention. So massive thank you for sending that picture in. We did share it during our first episode of Fans Photo. So massive good evening to you, David. Mostly Arsenal. Keith here. Wrestling Federation, definitely more than mere coincidence, whether it's training methods or medical. Okay, I'm not sure if I picked up that whole conversation, but he should be right back because he's the best we have. I just don't think Arteta will do it. Well, look, something's definitely going on with that whole stuff, and we know, and it's basically he doesn't really want to play there. And I think Arteta is definitely one of these managers that if a player shows any kind of reluctance, he's just simply going to drop them. It's just not. I guess it's one of his non-negotiables that he spoke about previously. ESR not to play. Martinelli needs to play. Okay. Best chance to get Aubameyang scoring again. Yeah, I think me and Scott both kind of agreed with that. Chris, Uber on the left worked because we was playing a left wing back, so they were providing the width and he could cut inside. He doesn't really work when it's him having to do that with a back four. Very, very good point there, Chris. Mr. Sparks, 1886. Nobody making forward runs for Pepe though, and that's something that I touched upon.
Yeah.
I said that I think, Pepe. Yeah, go on.
I think if we had Maitland-Niles there, I think he would be able to do those runs. But obviously, he won't play there, and that's just
definitely.
It's annoying.
David Israel, West Bromwich Albion will probably rest players as they'll be concentrating on promotion. Be interesting to see what team they put out, to be honest. Keith, they'll be so up for tomorrow. Let's not forget who relegated them last season. Okay. David again, I think maybe mix and match, maybe half strength and rest a couple players. We've also got here Jay Gomez. I think you mean Pyramid Perlo Lotti. Robert, this game is just as important as a City game, confidence-wise. Exactly what I said. West Bromwich Albion have started their season well. Arsenal don't want to go into the international break without a win, and that's what I said. I think regardless of what happens at City, I honestly believe that this club and this team need a win. And lastly, Joseph Golden, I would do El Neni Lokonga and drop number 34. Now, despite obviously, it's a West Brom game tomorrow in the Caraboa Cup. Usually, it's not a game that I think Arsenal fans would be massively, excited about. I think of all the cup competitions, it's probably the one that most clubs least prioritize. However, given the situation at Arsenal, we touched upon the poor league start, the kind of, on the pitch and off the field, shenanigans going on with exits, incomings, question marks about Arteta's future. Is this Arsenal versus West Brom in the Carabao Cup a must-win game for Arteta? And I've lost track of who I've been going to first, so I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. Is this game a must-win game for Arteta?
Ladies first.
Thanks. It's always the excuse. No, well, rumours been circulating today. Obviously, I might have my newspapers and stuff. He's got 5 games to sort it out. Or Wenger's going to come in for interim manager, apparently. Most bizarre rumour I've heard. This transfer.
Who was that? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Wenger.
Arsene Wenger.
Yep, he might come back in. It's one of the most bizarre rumours I've ever heard. The fan base is going to go on top of its head if it's true. But 5 games is, I think, reasonable, especially if we're going into September with no points.
So if he loses,
at the moment. Yeah.
If he loses tomorrow, is it just so what I'm trying to get at is West Brom for you a losable game in terms of his tenure at the club, or do you feel as though if we lost that game, he should go?
Do you know what? I really don't want to lose this game because the media will melt down and I will literally... you won't hear from me for days. I tell you that now. I will disappear completely because I can't take this media agenda. I know it's a buzzword at the moment, but it is what it is. It's all the papers want to talk about. I mean, if you look at last Thursday, the mob up the road, they lost to that team no one's ever heard of. It's basically a Sunday League side.
Yeah,
nothing. Absolutely not even a dicky bird. So if it goes wrong tomorrow, I don't want to even look at Twitter tomorrow. It's going to go into absolute meltdown of toxicity. So rumour has it he's got 5 games to sort it out and then they're going to give up on him. But whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Generally, there's no kind of smoke without fire. Do you know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see. Scott, in terms of this game tomorrow night, it is just the Carabao Cup, as some Arsenal fans will say. It is just West Brom. But obviously, given the circumstances of our form at the moment, Arsenal's division within the fan base in terms of who we are, who we have actually brought in, how we've spent the money. Is this a must-win game for Arteta?
To me, one of the big things coming at the end of last season was people saying, oh, maybe it's not such a bad thing that we're not in Europe because it gives us a chance to focus on the league. We've got 3 things we can play for: the league, the FA Cup, and this cup. Now, I don't see us winning the league, so that leaves us 2.
Yeah.
If we fall out of this comp in the first round to West Brom, it is going to be absolutely catastrophic. For all the criticisms of Mikel Arteta, one thing that people can't say is that he's not clever. He's an intelligent guy, and he would have his finger on the pulse, and he would know that if we don't get a result tomorrow, his job is in serious threat. So I think we'll know his thoughts on it as soon as we see the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
If he puts out some kind of second-rate lineup full of kids, you'll know that maybe his finger's not on the pulse. But if the lineup is strong, which is what I believe we need to see, I think we can get a result. West Brom have started well. They'll be up for it. Nothing like knocking out a team in the division above you. But we need to take it seriously. It's not just the Caraboa Cup for us. This is one of only 3 things we can play for, and one of only 2 that we can realistically go for. And I think Georgina said a comment in there about, if it's good enough for Man City, it's good enough for us. And I absolutely agree with that. Any game, any comp, any trophy, I want it in our cabinet. So Arteta needs, and the players, they need to take responsibility. They need the result. They have to get the result. It's so important.
Yeah, it's crazy because like opinions kind of split really. I see a lot of Arsenal fans saying that this is a must-win game. I just want to draw attention to this comment by Keith. Good evening, Keith. It's ridiculous to be talking about a manager who's 129 million and 2 games in getting a chop. So many variables at play right now. Christmas is 2 years for Mikel Arteta. If he's got a full squad but still no improvement, I guess at that point he would go. And I kind of agree with both of you because both of you didn't necessarily say he should or would go, but you kind of definitely touched upon the need to win this game. And, when you kind of look at what's happening, in and around the club, kind of like fans' reactions, like you could see, I saw a video with an Arsenal fan who approached Edu and his wife during the game from a distance. Obviously, I'm not condoning that type of behavior whatsoever, but you've got that type of fan showing their frustration. There's also been videos circulating of Arteta kind of being approached or harassed in his car. And you just feel as though and I think we said it kind of before the season even started that it's on a knife's edge in terms of just how the fans react. Now, for me as an Arsenal fan, I'm not happy with where we are. It really, really bothers me, which is why I do go missing. But that's how I deal with it. I deal with it by just kind of distancing myself from social media, distancing myself from football in general, really, and just kind of focusing on other stuff. Because sometimes when emotions are high, people can at times say and do things that they don't necessarily mean, and on reflection, you can kind of have your regrets. But, we're not condoning any of that type of behavior from Arsenal fans, but it definitely feels as though, I feel as though this is a must-win game for Arteta. I don't feel as though if he loses the game, he will get fired. But I think if he loses the game and then we go on to lose to Man City, we go into the international break without a single victory this season so far. And I feel at that point, the next game against Norwich is a must-win game. Because, if you look at, okay, we've lost to Brentford, we've lost to Chelsea. I think Arsenal fans have practically taken that on the chin at this point. I think West Brom will increase the pressure. I think City if we lose to West Brom, that will increase the pressure. If we lose to City, that will just intensify emotions. And then I think Norwich and Burnley, who are our next 2 games, I think if he doesn't get anything other than 6 points from those 2 matches, I think it's curtains, in all honesty.
Oh, they're definitely, especially
maybe not for the club, but I think for the fan base, I think they will give up on him at that point if he doesn't get back-to-back victories against Norwich and Burnley. Do you think those 2 games are the key games in terms of our season, Norwich and Burnley?
Yeah, look, to me they are, and I think you summed it up beautifully. I just kind of want to add, in terms of that footage of Arteta and Edu getting, harassed, there's a fine line between criticism and idiocy. Now, I think fans like that cross that line from being a fan who's upset and disgruntled to being an absolute idiot. And one thing that's been good to see is that there are sections of the fan base online who are starting to stand up to that kind of nonsense. It's not a way to win yourself clout or street cred. It's disgusting, and people are starting to call it out for what it is, which is good. But, G, you summed it up perfectly. I've got nothing to add on it, because if we lose this game tomorrow, the heat turns up more. And then if we, as most of us are probably realistically expecting, don't do the business against City, it's going to turn that heat up even more. And I think then we might just see it crack. This is a pivotal game, our most important Caraboa Cup game in my memory ever.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Anything lastly to add to that, Lottie, before we move on?
I just don't condone it. I mean, literally, I don't know how these people can actually just go and do that. I mean, it's bully behaviour, and they thrive off the negativity. Not my cup of tea, I'm afraid, but I just don't know I don't understand the logic in it. What do you get out of it? Yes, you're frustrated, but does it change anything? No.
Yeah.
No
problem
on the subject.
No worries. Last couple of comments that we'll go through before will bring us onto our last topic of tonight. So if you are still, in the comments, if you are still watching, massive thank you for sticking with us. We have been on air, I think, for just an hour and 20 minutes so far. So thank you for sticking with us. Chris, I personally feel we shouldn't lose a game from the Norwich match until the Liverpool one on November the 20th. We only really have Spurs at home and Leicester. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are kind of banking on Spurs. Getting these tougher games out the way, and then, we're going to kind of go on a bit of a run, but it's a risk. It's a real risk, David Israel, we can't add any heat if we lose to City unless it's a 5-0 drubbing. Okay, Chris, they are attention-seeking morons. I agree. It's just not a way to behave. It's not a way to condone yourself. Mr. Sparks 8086, no way people should be confronting the guys in front of their family or in their cars. Completely agree. Weezy J, I would expect troops to act like that. He did to Father Wenger. No comment. And lastly, thumbs up. So the last topic that we're going to talk about, and I am very aware of time, so thank you. Obviously, Lottie, you're always with us when we drag on. But thank you, Scott. I know it's really early there, and if you do need to jump off at any point, just please do let us know. But seeing that we have kind of got through, the Chelsea in reaction to that, we've touched upon Sambi Lokonga and obviously the positivity he's bringing to the side. We've looked ahead to the game, against West Brom tomorrow night, and usually wouldn't be such a huge game, but given the circumstances, it almost feels like a must-win for Arteta and the lads. And kind of lastly, what I want to touch upon is just the transfer speculation. Obviously, the season has started, and our eyes are more so on the games rather than, the kind of incomings and outgoings. But I think as Arsenal fans, we can't help, but have an interest on who's leaving the club and who's coming in. Now, lots of rumours. Torreira's move to Fiorentina is more or less confirmed. There's lots of rumours about Williams' contract being terminated and him moving on to Corinthians. Kolasinac, similar situation, termination of contract, maybe a move to Fenerbahce. First and foremost, I'll come to you, Scott. With those 3 players, Torreira, Willian, and Kolasinac, happy they're leaving. What are your general thoughts on those 3 potential outgoings?
Happy that Willian's leaving. He was an absolute calamitous signing. It just never really happened outside of that first game. And you can see that the guy has no love for the club. So I think it's just best that we part ways, let him go. In terms of Kolasinac, yeah, I think his time is up as well. We've now got 2 left backs in the squad, so happy for him to go. Torreira is one that, to me, it puzzles me. There's conflicting rumours. There were rumours that he wanted to play, to be a part of the squad at the moment, but then you see photos of him on holiday with his family. I don't know where the truth lies. There's so much misinformation out there, but if he wanted to be a part of this squad, I don't understand how we don't want him. To me,
I agree.
You saw me put Mo Elneny in my predicted lineup before. Would much rather have Torreira there if he's an option. Yeah. I think I would take Torreira over 34. So to me, that one disappoints me a little bit. It just hasn't worked out. Must be that beautiful English weather they got him. But I'm disappointed that didn't work out, and I'm disappointed that we are going to take a financial hit from the contracts of Willian and Kolasinac. We mismanage contracts at this club, and it's been a criticism even during Wenger's reign. We were never effective at managing contracts, so something's got to give on that end. We need to become a little bit smarter, a little bit more business-like in that approach, because we keep getting stung, and we'll still be paying Willian something, I'm sure. His wages are too big for Corinthians.
Yeah, there's talk of us subsidising his wages for him to leave the club, which is not great.
Willian, yes. Kolasinac, yes. Torreira, shame. It's a shame.
Yeah. Lottie, those 3 players, similar view to Scott or different opinion?
No, definitely. Just with Willian, I just hope the door hits him on the way out. Everyone knows how I feel about him. I got my wish list transfer window. I'm happy. Am I happy about us possibly subsidising the wages? No, absolutely not worth it. I officially finished with the guy at the Chelsea friendly. He was warming up with the rest of them. The fans were clapping him. I wasn't personally, but he didn't. He just looked at us. No respect there. 34 can do it after everything we've put up with him. But with Willian, no. Hope the door hits you on the way out. But Kolasinac, that's fine. As for Torreira, again, gutted. I mean, can you imagine that Sambi Torreira down the middle? What it could have been.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Willian will go down as probably the worst signing in the history of Arsenal Football Club. And I wouldn't necessarily say, as bad as he was, I would say they were probably worse players. But I just think when you just look at, his overall performance, the amount we're paying him, just I even saw, I don't know how true it was, but I saw a screenshot of him, liking a Chelsea post. And I just think, that signing just didn't go well. It just didn't go to plan at all. It really, really didn't. So, no, I'm not going to lose any sleep there. With regards to Kolasinac, I think he was brought in on a free transfer. I think he was one of Wenger's signings. And I think when he came in from the Bundesliga, to be fair, he kind of came in with a decent reputation. I think he had the most assists playing for Schalke.
He was in their team of the year, G. He came in off the back of being... I'm sure he was in the Bundesliga team of the year.
Yeah, he was a good player. Yeah, because I remember at the time when we signed him, and I thought, I could see that being quite a shrewd bit of business. We got him on a free. He's, like you said, he was in the team of the season. I do know his stats were good, but obviously it didn't work out. He just didn't transition perfectly, from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, which happens. And obviously he came in on a free, so I'm imagining the wages were significantly higher than probably maybe they ought to be. So, him going, again, is no real loss. I have to agree with you on Torreira. When it comes to Torreira, I just feel like it is a shame. I was really happy when we signed him after seeing him play for Uruguay in the World Cup. I thought we finally got, a midfielder who can really kind of, mix it, up for the fight, technically quite good. But for whatever reason, I think it's almost like the right player, but wrong time. He kind of came at Arsenal where we are kind of going through this transitioning, changing of managers, and it's just not worked out. So in terms of, obviously, there are a lot of rumours. We're not going to go through all of them. Obviously, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is rumoured to be, on the shopping list for some clubs, on the transfer list for Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah, supposedly we're in talks with Crystal Palace with regards a permanent transfer. Reece Nelson will probably be a loan, etc., etc. So, you know, there is a lot in terms of now, as the window is fast approaching, you know, its closure, there's a lot more rumours in terms of exits, which we probably all kind of envisioned would happen. There's even been some rumours tonight. I don't know how true they are with regards to Barcelona being interested in Lacazette, which will be quite interesting. So that kind of brings me on to what the next thing. So we've spoken about potential upcoming exits. In terms of incomings, we know we need players. And we know we need players across lots and lots of positions, you know, in the pitch. And our recruitment has come under criticism from rival fans, from pundits, from managers, you know, TV hosts, whatever, you name it, they're criticizing us in terms of what we've spent and how much we've spent and who we've spent it on. We've not spent the money on first team players. So in terms of what I would like to kind of get from you is just, first of all, your optimism or your pessimism around, will we, you know, be signing anyone between now and the end of the window? And if we do, you know, what positions on the pitch would you like for us to strengthen? And I'll come to you first, Lottie, on this one. So can you see any more signings? And if you do, where should we strengthen going into the final stages of the transfer window?
As I said the other week, I still think we need 3. I mean, if Lacazette's on his way out and rumoured Aubameyang's on his way out, we can only centre forward. Can't rely on Martinelli all season. Definitely need someone else in the middle, in the like a central midfielder, and most importantly is that right back. Is on my shopping list. That's at the top of the list at the moment. I mean, get rid of the ones that are there. Keep one as a backup, say Chambers or someone. Get rid of the other 2. Get someone in that's going to play there regularly, and then they can build that relationship with the back, whether it's back 3, back 4, and just get that settled. That's all I want for this season. If this is the kind of season, that's what I want. Even if we, dare I say, don't win anything, touch wood, we do.
You're looking for primarily a right back, centre mid, and a striker. So, out of those 3, if you could pick 3 players. Nothing to do whether we're going to get them or not. Who would be your 3 players that you'd pick? Right back, centre mid, and striker. Throw them at me.
Oh, God.
Right back.
Max Aarons.
Centre mid?
Oh, it has to be Rodrigo de Paul. I know he's just signed for Atletico, but it would be him, hands down.
Okay. And up front?
Lewandowski. He's for sale.
All right.
I can dream.
We can dream.
He's the only centre forward available at the moment. That's decent.
I'll come to you, Scott. Obviously, I know you kind of shared your opinion in terms of, like, you know, what you feel may or may not happen between now and the close of the window. So first of all, do you think with all the rumoured exits, one, are we going to get anybody in? And 2, if we do, where should we strengthen in terms of the first team squad?
I honestly think our transfer business is done. I'm stunned that we've spent as much as we have. I'm not upset about it. I'm happily stunned that we're spending money, but I think this is it, to be completely honest. But so similarly to Lottie, I would love Max Aarons at right back. And I say Max Aarons not because I think he's the best right back out there, because I'm trying to have a realistic lens. He's someone who, to me, is gettable. So Max Aarons in the middle. I'd like Basuma to come in. I think we should have done the business on him, you know, a month ago. Now because he started the season okay, his value is probably increased.
Up 10 million,
I'd like to see Basuma come in, and up front, I agree with Keith. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the man. If so much of our attack is based on crossing. Yeah,
and we got the centre forward that can head.
We've got Laka, who I think has better technique in the air than Aubameyang, but physically is not very tall. Then you've got Aubameyang, who fancies his feet, and you know, I think Calvert-Lewin is a perfect combination of both. And if we could get him, it would change our season. It would change.
Interesting. You know what's interesting though is that neither of you mentioned Hosemawa. Now he's been linked to the club again tonight. There's been a lot of talk about Arsenal and Tottenham going head to head for his signature. There's even been rumours that Leon would be open to a loan move with an obligation to buy, just because of their kind of financial, issues that they've got at the club. But it's interesting that neither of you mentioned him.
I'm over it
because Stephen is in absolute love with Hossim Aouar. Hossim Aouar is Stephen's version of my Grealish. He's that kind of one player that doesn't play for Arsenal that you would love to see in an Arsenal shirt. Now, my dream of Grealish playing for Arsenal is just gone. But Hossim Aouar could potentially still sign for Arsenal. Now, you shake your head, Scott. What's your opinion for Hossim Aouar then?
I'm just over it. I think he's a good player. He's a good player, but they've been supposedly shopping him around for the last couple of months. Now, if they only want 25 million, why hasn't anyone swooped in for him? We've spent some crazy money. There's something about it. I'm not against having him. I think he's a good player. He brings some more creativity. But it's kind of like the Benzema rumours of old. Like anyone who's been following Arsenal for a long time would know that when we were a much better team, we were linked to Benzema.
The Higuain rumours.
You just you get linked to a player so much that you kind of then turn around and say, I hope your agent gets you that new contract you want at your club.
Yeah.
Just stop being linked to us. I would take him. I would be happy, but I'm just overhearing about it. Either make it happen or make it go away. It's been
interesting though, because obviously players' opinions, etc., but interesting that I think both of your opinions reflect what Arsenal fans all over the country, all over the world believe, which is we need a right back, we're light in midfield, and we need someone to put the ball in the net. So it will be interesting to see, if any business gets done between now and the end of the transfer window. I'm in two minds. I feel as though we've done the vast majority of our business. I don't think we will see three. I think we may potentially see one, maybe two at most. But I'm just not sure they're going to be the names that Arsenal fans want, because when I look at the players that we have come in, they are Arsenal players now. I fully support them, but I've not been massively thrilled by the recruitment we've done, if I'm completely honest. So it will be interesting to see what we do between now and Tuesday. But I think first and foremost, we need to get these potential deals of players leaving done. And then I think we could focus on potentially bringing in a couple of players. Now, that's pretty much it now for tonight's show. We're going to go through some of the comments because I know there's been lots of opinions with regards transfers and obviously the West Brom game. We've got here the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Do you think tomorrow is a make or break for Mikel? Well, we kind of touched upon that already. I think all of us agree that it's a must win, but not necessarily a must win in terms of his Arsenal career. It's more to do with, releasing a little bit of the pressure going into the Man City and international break. I don't think any of us feel as though he will get fired off the back of a defeat. But yeah, it's a must win. Generally, just kind of confidence of the team. Mr. Sparks, 1886. I agree. Any less than 6 points from those games should be it. I think you're referring to the Norwich and Burnley games. I believe so. And guys, Scott and Lottie, if any of these comments you'd like to touch upon or discuss more, just give me a shout. Robert, good show, guys. Thank you so much for the support, Robert. David, could we not get a few quid for these players? I think, you know what? Willian, Kalashnak, and Torreira. I think we will get some money for Torreira if it's an obligation. I'm not sure. Do either of you know when his contract expires?
Can't tell you off the top of my head.
I think surely if he's going on loan, it's got to be 2 years, because if it's 1 year, then that makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. So I think we will get some money for Torreira. I think it probably will be at a loss. But with regard to Kalashnak and Willian, I don't think Arsenal club or Arsenal fans really care what we get for them, to be honest. I can't really pronounce your so I'll just say give me.
That's Wilson.
Like a Wills. Okay, Wills. I wish Torreira stayed, would give us more than Anani would give us. And I think that's a view of a lot of Arsenal fans, even with the whole Willock situation. It was like, okay, we're selling Willock, but then we're keeping the likes of El Nene. And, you know, I think fans are always going to have a debate. There's always going to be a debate in terms of who we keep and who we sell, and a kind of difference, you know, of opinion. I've lost where I am with regards to comments. This show is more satisfying than a cool shower after 11 hours of work under the Florida sun. Bless you. Thank you for keeping the show positive and informative. We will definitely always try to keep it a mixture of, you know, being realistic, but also trying to hold on to some kind of positive news. The problem is Arsenal get offers for players who they don't play and expect higher offers. Example, Nketiah. Weezy J. R. Williams, Sweet Caroline. Oh, good times. Never seemed so good. So good.
Can you sing it, G?
Oh.
Sweet Caroline.
I'm pretty sure Jay will be singing that as soon as he's gone.
Yeah, trust me, I will. Keith?
No, Jay, we've got to get you and Jay singing it. Day grows. Get Jay on. Jay, you're coming on to sing.
1,000% on Torreira, Scott Berg. Great shout. Yeah, I completely agree with Scott on that. Like, Torreira is one of those that, you know, it kind of makes you feel like it could have been so different, you know, if circumstances were different. Chris, for me, if he wanted to be in the squad, why did he, when others came back early, stay on holiday for a few extra weeks? It kind of shows his heart just isn't in playing for Arsenal, which is true.
I've got to kind of disagree with that. The country, South America is in the red. He couldn't come straight back. He had to go over to Spain for a while, then hop back over as he'd been in quarantine as soon as he hit the ground longer. So I understand that I made that mistake and I got told off on Twitter.
But do you think his heart's really in playing for Arsenal?
The thing is, with the rumours, you don't really know. The thing is, he's been on loan the whole time Arteta's been here. Yeah. So, as I said to you before, I think there's something going on with him in 34. I don't care what anyone says. It's just an inkling. I have personality clash.
And that happens in squads. That happens in squads a lot of the time. Good evening, Georgina. Happy with all the outgoings minus Torreira, but I just don't think he wanted to be here either. I'd rather subsidize salaries than have to pay the full amount, knowing the team doesn't want them in the squad. Saves money, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah. Chris, I mean, Martinelli was back at Arsenal like 1 to 2 days after the Olympic final. David,
green country.
It should be against the rules to subsidize wages once players are sold. Williams should take a cut, especially given his age. So bad we gave him so much. And that's why I think there's big question marks over that signing. Mrs. Sparks, 1886. Torreira's heart not in it, though. Shame about him, but William is another double agent. Don't need any more of those. Federation, that is probably a good reason for resting him. No need to rush him back till he could play every week. More, okay. I'm gonna not go through the ads so much. David, Barcelona can't afford to get anyone right now. Again, it's literally just something I heard before I came online, so I'm not sure if there's any truth in it whatsoever. Chris, I've just seen a Man City want Uber if they don't get Kane. Now that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Now, how would you feel about us selling Aubameyang to Man City?
Give us Grealish and I might think about it.
No, I wouldn't enjoy it.
It's not going to happen, but
what about Gabriel Jesus in return?
Oh, that's a good trade.
Yeah, I don't know if they do it though. I don't know if they do it. I don't know how I feel about. I probably need another hour and 40 minutes to think about that one. That's too deep.
Yeah, it's a deep one, isn't it? It's too deep. I know it won't happen between now and the 31st, but DCL in my literal wet dream right now. I'm not even joking. You know what? I think DCL, it's huge. Ainsley May and Niles either play right back or get out. Chris, we've got striker who can head the ball. For me, is a priority. Yeah. And I think that's why DCL is so popular. Aaron's right back. Our CM, DC up top. I don't understand why everyone didn't want Tammy. Again, you know what? I wasn't thrilled about Tammy, but then no, I wasn't massively thrilled about the links with Tammy, but he's obviously gone to Roma, got 2 assists, and he looks like he's gonna be taking Serie A by storm. Where's Giroud? I think he's at AC Milan on a free transfer, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Weezy J, they need a new number 9 because I'm not gonna get my hopes up that Uber and Laka will deliver this season. Next one, Chris. For me, he's another overhyped player in France. I think if he was that good, he would have been signed by someone else. Now, we've been linked with him for the last 18 months. He's becoming the new Draxler. And I know you're talking about our when it comes to those comments. So somebody in agreement there with you, Scott, with regards to our. Expecting my 2001 Sega shirt to come today or tomorrow. Got it for the jacket trade with the Felaguna. Will be great shirt for tomorrow's match. Nice. And then we've got like some other ones here. Right, where are we? Quickly. Robert Laka better than Jesus.
Robbie is a huge fan of Lacazette. We've had many an argument over Lacazette.
Secret Arsenal fan.
He likes the red teams, right?
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no.
Would you agree with that?
Do you know what? Since he's been with us, we bought him for 50. He hasn't scored 20 goals a season.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know who I would say. I think right now I would probably prefer
I like him, but
Gabriel Jesus in the Arsenal side, but I don't know whether that's just because, I don't know. What's your opinion on that one, Scott?
Yeah. Look, every time Rob and I have this argument about Lacazette, he then goes on a goal scoring run.
Good.
I think a problem for Lacazette in the last season or two has been consistency of time. Like he hasn't been necessarily a regular starter. So I'm all about chemistry. Like you're probably sick of me mentioning consistency and chemistry, but I do think players need to start multiple games in a row to kind of start building that chemistry. So I think Laka Jesus are probably similar at this point, but I think Gabriel Jesus has a higher ceiling for sure.
I think from the comments, and thank you guys for popping those comments in, I think it's pretty clear that, while I think me and Scott, I don't know what your opinion is, Lottie, with regards to kind of Aubameyang links to City, but I think it's pretty clear. I'm not too sure, but it sounds as though people would be happy if it meant that we would have one of their players in return, either Gabriel Jesus or Bernardo Silva. I think from what I've read, Bernardo Silva is not interested in coming to Arsenal. I think he wants European football, and I could kind of see him just sticking it out at City for another season or two until he gets the move he wants. From what I've read, obviously I don't know for sure, but it is an interesting one. But yeah, so that kind of rounds it up really. An hour and 45 in. Thank you, obviously, for everybody who has stayed with us the whole time. And obviously, a massive thank you to you, Scott, for joining us. Before I kind of go into depth in terms of thanking you for joining us, we are going to run through just a couple of other things with regards to shows, what's coming up, a couple of updates, etc. So, Lottie, could you give us an update with regards how badly I'm doing at fantasy football?
So, game week 2, we've actually got, we've officially got a first, second, and third place. We've got Andrew Key with Nick's goal wins in first place. Yusuf Khan is now dropped down to second with Dimmy's homeschooled. And we've got a new third place from Levi Grazidier. I do apologise if I can't say your name. With the Valley of Goats. So the average for this weekend was 56 points. The highest scoring was 146 for everyone that's playing. Out of 219 of us, there's 167, including myself and Stevens, that are in the 100 club. 100-point club, I should say. Sorry. Guys, I've got a question for you. Who do you think got the most points out of me, Stephen, and G? Scott, I'll ask you in a second. So get your answers in there.
You seem very confident. I'm going with you, Lottie.
Okay. G, who do you think it was?
I think it was Stephen.
So I'm not going to say.
I think it was Stephen.
Yep, it was Stephen that got the highest points out of us.
Oh, and guess who got the least amount of points?
I'm going with G.
That was you. I think I got the most consistent. I got another 60 pointer this week, so I'm up from 126 to 102.
Nice.
Stephen's up from 211 up to 155. And G, you've dropped down from 193 to 201.
So I'm basically Arsenal, right? Yeah, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Well, cheers for that. Cheers for that update, Lottie. In terms of game week 3. Oh, sorry.
Yep, I was just about to get that. I've done embarrassing you now. It's okay, no need to I get that wild card up for game week 3. Deadline is it's UK Saturday, 11 a.m. before the Arsenal game starts. Do not forget to use your wild card, G. That is all I'm going to say on the subject. Everybody else, get your captains sorted out.
I need to pay it some attention, man, because I can't be 201 out of 219. That's just abysmal. I need to sort it out.
And guys, Captain Salah at your own risk. Are you going to let him ghost you this weekend or not? That is the question.
Cool. Well, thank you for the update. With regards our sub challenge, so we do still have our sub challenge. The first part of our sub challenge, we didn't actually meet the criteria, so we're not going to see Stephen with bleach blonde hair. However, if you do want to see myself with bleach blonde hair, then help us get to 1,000 subscribers between now and the 31st of December of this year. And the third part of our sub challenge is if we can get to 2,000 subs between now and the start of next season, then Lottie will be getting a tattoo of choice. There will be 3 options. We will release details closer to the time. But yeah, get subscribing. And for all of you that are watching that have subscribed already, thank you so much for subscribing to our show. We do massively appreciate your support. And we really love the fact that we've got, a real kind of solid, loyal, fan base that, do come in and watch our shows week in, week out, blow up the comments, give us all the support in terms of retweets. So massive, massive thank you for all of you, that do your part and tune into our shows. Just to let you know that if you are interested in purchasing any Cannon Chatter merchandise, all the information is on the videos or the YouTube channel's description. It gives you all the details in terms of what you want to do. If you want to rock one of our hoodies or one of our t-shirts, all the details are there. And lastly, I think the thing we're going to run through is the socials. Lottie, could you take it away, please?
Okay, if you want to come find us on Facebook, it's just pop in the search bar, Cannon Chatter. It's the same with Instagram, but obviously it's Cannon_chatter as on screen. If you want to come and find us on Twitter, the main account is at Cannon Chatter. If you want to come find Stephen, who's not here tonight, it's SB. Sorry. Let's start that again. At SB Cannon Chatter. If you want to follow G, who's on up above me on screen, it's at G Talks Arsenal. Or if you want to follow me, it's at Lottie_B. It's 2 T's and 2 I's because someone beat me to the normal spelling. If you want to live any game at the moment from May onwards, last year at the moment, you can go back and read my blog. I do match reports. I've also started a mini series of player profiles. I'm still working on the Chelsea one. I'm just trying to get all my images together for the best selection. I'm not going to be doing anything on Odegaard because we already know who he is. I am currently working on Ramsdale as well, so we've got a bit more information so we can get to know him a bit better. But if you want to go and have a look at that, it's lottieafc.blogspot.co.uk.
Cool.
And lastly, make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and hit that like button.
Thank you so much. And obviously, at this point, just before we kind of get onto our thank yous with regard to Scott, just to let you know that we are back on Friday evening, where we will be basically reviewing the West Brom game from tomorrow night, and we'll be looking ahead to the Arsenal versus Man City game, the last game before the kind of international break, probably touching upon some transfers as well. So it should be Friday, but, that is subject to change. So just look out, on Twitter to find out when we're actually doing our show and in terms of what time we're doing our show. But yeah, that's it really for the show. I just want to say a massive thank you, Scott. This is the first time that, myself and you, have, kind of done a live. We've met, we had a chat. I've seen you on kind of various things, but the first time we've kind of had a personal chat. I know it's crazy early where you are in Sydney, but yeah, just a massive thank you from myself and the whole Cannon Chat team. Really, really appreciate your appearance. I think you talk with a lot of knowledge, a lot of sense, and yeah, it's just nice to to hear, you know, a fellow Arsenal fan talk about things from a kind of real rational perspective. So massive thank you from all the team. If you want to do any shout outs, or if you want to let, you know, the guys who are watching where they can follow you or point them in the direction of, you know, your channel, etc., take it away.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, guys. Nice little relationship building between Cannon Chatter and It's a Football Thing. It was nice to see some of our regulars jumping in that live chat as well. Because for me, when fans talk, that's when you kind of learn so much more. So it was an absolute privilege to be with you guys. If you're interested in seeing some of our content, our show in a nutshell is myself, RJ, a big Chelsea fan, and Rob, who was in the live chat, a Man United fan. We're three mates, been mates for many, many years. And we just talk football. We do a recap on Tuesday nights, Australian time. And then on Thursday nights, which is tomorrow for us, we look forward to the games coming. So you can search us on YouTube if you type in IFT Pod with a space in between the two. Or if you check out my socials and my Twitter handles there, I'm always retweeting it. So thank you guys for your support as well and for having me on. It was no problem getting out of bed this early when you get to talk Arsenal with two top gunners. So. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love the dedication. Trust me, 6 a.m. in Sydney to get out of your bed to do one of our shows. Like massive appreciation.
Chelsea was a 1:30 a.m. kickoff. Chelsea was a 1:30 a.m. kickoff. Getting up at 1:30 for that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. But look, before we kind of, you know, wrap up, I am going to go through some of these comments because I do like to give everybody, you know, a little bit of acknowledgement in terms of going through the comments. Hi, Scott, Lottie and G. Nice to see you all. Not here for the palm, but thanks for finally returning the favor. No problem at all. Big up to all. Nice content. What have we got here? We've got Chris. Rather than sitting on the City bench and watching another striker like Kane coming on instead of him. Okay, that's the whole Uber Kane debate. GG's guys will definitely be tuning in more. Thank you so much. Again here, great show, G, Lottie and Scott. Thank you so much for your support. Great show, guys, as usual. Don't mention FPL to me. Oh, mate, trust me.
me and David had a chat about that today.
Great show, guys.
You've used a wild card, mate.
I know, I'm going to have to. You should definitely get Scott back on again. No, we definitely will. Definitely will. Lottie. Just your name there. Weezy J, I'm doing so badly. Please don't make
that was the guessing of the points, G.
Oh.
It wasn't me, David. Unfortunately, Stephen beat me to it. He got a massive
Steven.
82 this week.
Jesus. Thank you so much, Weezy J. But yeah, I'm the same. I'm doing so badly. Please don't mention it. Yeah, I didn't really want to mention it, but Lottie had to kind of rub it in. Amazing show. Thank you, Sister Lottie and brothers G and Scott. Love you all. We love you too. Chris, De Bruyne might be dropped from my team soon. Maybe adding Fernandez. Yeah, he's not had a great start to the season, to be fair. I haven't seen much. But I think he's nursing a bit of an injury, to be fair. Okay, guys, hitting the sack. Past 3:30 a.m. here. Always good to hear Scott and keep it coming, G. Lottie and Cole. Thank you so much. That Harry Kane tattoo on Lottie's arm as she flexes, pure gold.
Antonio, I haven't forgotten about your Harry Kane England shirt, my friend. 1,000 subscribers, you're buying that shirt.
Ooh.
I'm telling you. I don't care if you're in Florida, I will get a plane over there.
Yeah. David Israel, again, thank you for sending in your picture, and thanks for the show. Thank you for your support. Jay Gomez, well done on another awesome show, guys. Big up Scott for the early wake up. Yeah, I can't big him up enough, to be honest. Stephen Bez, deadline day. Oh, and there he comes.
There's Stephen.
Right at the end. Yes, Stephen. Because he knew, you know what? He knew I would forget, and he knew Lottie would forget. So
I did kind of.
I'm not really sure what we're doing on deadline day, but what I do know is we're going to be active. Lottie, are you happy to take this one? Go ahead.
Yep, sure. No, basically on deadline we're going to be live. Deadline day we're going to be live throughout the day. I am looking for Scott, Robbie, and RJ to come and join us during the day for the first round. Hopefully the guys are available. They won't mind joining us at 9 in the evening. But we are looking to get some more people on throughout the day. Obviously we're going to have breaks in between because we can't be sitting down all day. I think we'll go a bit stiff and we've got bits and pieces to do. G's off for the day. I'm off for the day, and I'm definitely sure Stephen's around for it.
Yeah.
But from 7 o'clock all the way until the window closes, we will be live solidly through. But we will have a couple of hours throughout the day, like early part of the day in the afternoon, where we will be live for the latest.
Wicked. Exciting times. Well, let's hope it's exciting times. Let's hope we're just not reporting every other team signing a player but us. But yeah, no, definitely. So we've got lots of great content coming up. We've got a Friday night review and preview show of West Brom and Chelsea, West Brom and City. We should have a review show of the City game, and then obviously deadline day. So it's going to be all about transfers. But last comment here, and it is going to be the last comment, Weezy J. That is going to mad day. It's going to be a mad day for us. It really, really is. Yeah. And lastly, get those yellow ties ready. Right. So massive thank you again.
I don't do ties.
No. I'm not wearing a tie.
Ties, but I can put yellow ribbons in my hair. She wore a yellow ribbon, right? I'm
not wearing a tie. I'll wear my Cannon Chatter hoodie. That's what I'll be wearing. But yeah, massive thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Massive thank you to Scott again. It's always a pleasure doing these shows. We'll see you on Friday. Lottie, any last words?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Have a good day. Have a good day or good night.
Take care, people.